Yo, what's up everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Blox Fruits has just dropped what could be one of the biggest PvP updates we've ever seen. After years of balancing, nerfs, buffs, reworks, and countless changes to the meta, the developers have finally made some serious moves that could completely change how PvP is played. Some fruits got stronger, some got weaker, and some changes might completely change the way we look at the PvP meta. So today, we're going to break down everything in this massive PvP update, talk about the biggest changes, and figure out whether this update actually made Blox Fruits PvP better. This is going to be a long one, so sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. Now, before we get into all the crazy changes, let's talk about why this update is such a big deal. Blox Fruits PvP has always been one of the biggest parts of the game. Over the years, we've seen certain fruits dominate the meta. Players discover new combos, and some abilities become almost impossible to counter. But this update is different. The developers didn't just make a few small adjustments. They went after some of the biggest problems of the fact in PvP and made changes that could completely shift the way players fight. So let's start with the first major change and see exactly what the developers changed. Let's start with probably the part that a lot of PvP players are going to be watching closely: the nerfs. After seeing certain fruits and abilities dominate the PvP scene for so long, the developers decided it was time to bring some of them back down to earth. Some of these nerfs might not seem huge at first, but when you actually take them into PvP, they can make a massive difference. Damage, combos, cooldowns, mobility, and even the way certain abilities connect can completely change how a fruit is played. And honestly, some of these changes are going to hurt. So let's go through the nerfs one by one and see which fruits gotten hit the hardest, and whether these changes were actually necessary. Now let's get into the fruits that got hit the hardest, and honestly, there aren't that many fruits that received straight up nerfs in this update. But the ones that did get hit could have a pretty big impact on the PvP meta. First, we have Empyrean Kitsune. This one definitely took a hit. Its Z-tap can no longer break instinct. The damage on the Z-hold was reduced by 30%, and the X now forces the user into a channeling animation when it connects. And on top of that, the C received additional end lag. Then we have regular Kitsune, which receives some very similar changes. Its Z-tap can no longer break instinct, the X now channels on hit, and the C has increased end lag. And finally, we have Lightning. Lightning's V-tap hitbox was reduced by 10%. And the extra hitbox gained from charging the V-hold was reduced by 25%. So while this update didn't completely destroy these fruits, the developers clearly wanted to make some of their safer and more reliable PvP tools easier to deal with. And when you're talking about high-level PvP, even a small change to a hitbox, stun, or end lag can completely change a combo. But here's where things get interesting. The fruits that got buffed may actually be a bigger story than the fruits that got nerfed. Now let's talk about the other side of this update, the buffs. Because while some of the strongest fruits in the game were getting nerfed, the developers were also giving some seriously needed attention to fruits that haven't been getting much love in the PvP meta. And this is where things start getting interesting. We got buffs to fruits like Dark Doe, Quake, Tiger, Werewolf, Spider, and Ghost, along with several other changes designed to make more builds viable. So instead of seeing the same few fruits over and over again, this update could finally give players a reason to experiment with different fruits and different combos. And some of these buffs aren't just simple damage increases. We're talking about changes to abilities, hitboxes, combos, and how certain moves actually function in PvP. So let's go through some of the biggest buffs and see which fruits might come out of this update as the new PvP monsters, because after these changes, the meta might never be the same. Now let's move on to something that every PvP player needs to pay attention to: The weapons... The developers didn't just touch the fruits and fighting styles. Several swords and guns were also changed, and some of these changes could have a pretty big impact on the PvP meta. Starting with the buffs, Darkblade received a pretty solid buff. The Z move now charges 10% faster, its end lag was reduced by 30%, and both its range and hitbox were increased by 10%. So landing this move should feel much more consistent. Pole V2 also got some love. Its Z hitbox was increased by 35%, while the X received a huge improvement to its range and hitbox, along with its end lag being cut in half. Twin hooks got a smaller but useful change. The Z move now makes the enemy's landing location more predictable, which should make follow-up combos more reliable. And then we have the guns. Kagum Yucha got a major consistency buff. The Z now applies a 0.5 second stun instead of knocking the opponent into the air. And the X's end lag was reduced from 0.4 seconds to just 0.2 seconds. Venom Bow also received a buff. Its Z range increased by 15%, and its X now applies a 1-second stun even if the opponent instinct dodges it. But now let's talk about the weapons that got nerfed. Dragonheart had its G's instinct drain reduced by 50% on the initial hits. Yama also took a hit. Its X no longer breaks instinct. Instead, it only drains instinct while the opponent remains inside the hitbox. And one of the biggest changes for gun users was Skull Guitar. Its movement bug abuse was fixed, and the X hitbox was reduced by 15%. Finally, True Triple Katana was adjusted rather than directly buffed or nerfed. Its X now has 0.5 seconds more end lag, but its travel speed was increased by 25%. So overall, the developers seem to be pushing weapons toward more consistent and counterable PvP, while taking away some of the tools that made certain weapons extremely dominant. And honestly, with these changes combined with the fruit and fighting style changes, the entire PvP meta is about to look different. Now we have to talk about one of the most famous and, honestly, most annoying PvP playstyles in Blox Fruits. If you've played Blox Fruits PvP for any amount of time, you already know what I'm talking about. You get into a fight, and suddenly the portal user is teleporting everywhere, disappearing from the fight, coming back from a completely different direction, and looking for that one opening to start their combo. And this playstyle became especially famous because of players like K.A. Marcos, who helped make the portal combo look absolutely insane. The reason Portal is so popular isn't just because it looks cool. Portal gives players an incredible amount of mobility and lets them control the pace of the fight. 1 second you're fighting them, and the next second they're gone. Then they come right back in, catch you with an opening, and suddenly you're watching your health bar disappear. That's what makes the Portal combo so dangerous.
But with this massive PvP balance update, the question is, did the developers finally do enough to stop Portal from being such a dominant PvP choice? Because if you're one of those players who has been using Portal over and over again, this update might change the way you play.
Now before we wrap things up, let's talk about the next Blox Fruits Bulletin. We've already seen this massive PvP update, but the developers aren't done yet. And one of the biggest things players are waiting for is Magnet. If Magnet really comes with the next major update, it could bring some crazy new abilities and completely shake up the meta again. So with PvP already changing and a new fruit potentially on the way, Blox Fruits might be entering another huge era. And honestly, I can't wait to see what's next. And with that, I'm going to let you guys finish up this video. We covered the biggest changes from this PvP update, and now we'll just have to wait and see what the developers have planned for the next update. But let me know down in the comments, what do you think about this update and what do you want to see in the next one? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. God bless and peace.